getting back again to my memories of If Ever Beauty Fails, Savior Sect's first demo from 1994. Okay, once we had the four-man complete lineup, we began to record our rehearsal sessions on a fairly regular basis. We did some of that on reel-to-reel. We did some of that on videotape, and sometimes we did both of them simultaneously. Yeah, the reel-to-reel tape was a way of getting pretty decent recordings back in those days. So it was something that I had done in Apostle Void, particularly early Apostle Void years. We kind of got away from that in later years. Again, almost all through Garden of Denial, and now in Savior Sect, because basically the same reel-to-reel player had served this function throughout the course of all of these bands. So, yeah, it came down to us just recording our rehearsals, and we had quite a bit of material to choose from, so it was just a matter of going through and picking out the takes that we were most happy with, and basically If Ever Beauty Fails is a rather decently recorded rehearsal tape for the time. I had also, since I'm young, been involved in art and sketches and caricature type work, and always enjoyed that type of thing as an artistic medium, is just sitting down and doing drawings. Again, did some of those drawings for Apostle Void, and now I had been sketching a caricature of Anastasia with a skeletal face and a top hat on, and just something I sat down and you know, drew a sketch of it, and I thought it really captured something of her personality. I kind of liked the image, and I put forth this image as something that might be used for a demo cover. So it was kind of a cheesy hand-drawn Savior Sect logo type thing with the caricature of Anastasia as this horrific type of undead woman. And again, things in those days, this is predating the whole CD revolution, so most demos and many years after that as well were the medium was cassettes. So this kind of thing would slide directly into a plastic casing. Now, in those days, there weren't a lot of templates around, so basically how we went about doing the cover, at least for If Ever Beauty Fails, is, you know, we had the music that was really at our hand. All we had to do was transfer the reel-to-reel stuff to cassette. So the music really wasn't an issue. It became more of an issue of trying to, you know, get the artwork right. So how I would do it back in those days is when you went out and you bought a pack of cassettes, they would have paper inserts included in there, so you could write the song titles down, and that would slide within the plastic case. So I would actually cut and glue the Xeroxed covers onto those the actual inserts provided with the actual cassette tapes. I glue them onto there, and in the case of the If Ever Beauty Fails demos, I don't know why I chose to do this, but I actually glued the covers into the plastic casings. So if you have an authentic version out there of If Ever Beauty Fails, you can't take the insert out. It's glued to the plastic. So that's how all of them were, and they were. Everything was very artisanal and very put my whole being into creating the thing. So it was a very again an artisanal process to sit and cut and paste and stick and glue these things in, and then finally slap the cassette in, and there you had it, an If Ever Beauty Fails demo. The whole thing kind of cheesy looking. Oddly enough, the back cover of it didn't even have the songs listed. I think back in those days we were more interested in using these demos to try to get shows. It had the phone numbers and the names of the bands, and booking info, and a pentagram with candles burning and our names, and what we did in the band. No song titles. Again, I don't think in these days it was kind of it wasn't so much like the underground would become for Savior Sect years later, where we were doing a whole lot of tape trading both in the States and abroad. These were different times. Again, our whole goal as a four-piece was to try to get shows, and I don't know how many copies of If Ever Beauty Fails actually got out to actual fans or people who listen to Savior Sect, because I think most of them went to clubs in hopes of getting booked for shows. I mean, because we rehearsed in order to play live shows, and as a new band we needed a demo tape to have the club owners listen to the music and what we were doing. So that's basically the story of the demo itself. Probably most of the recordings for it were done. We recorded probably heavily between October of '94, possibly September, up until our breakup, which was very early in January of '95. So the actual takes for If Ever Beauty Fails, probably fall of '94, they were recorded. We chose, I remember the four-man lineup having 10 songs total, and 6 of those were on If Ever Beauty Fails. Now, I'm assuming memory is very dim as to what songs preceded what song or what other song. I don't really remember too much the order we were working in. I know the stuff like the Aftermath and Submerged, really early type stuff. There was one track that White Virgin, Black Virgin, which Dexter didn't want anything to do with. He kind of rejected that song, didn't really want to work on it, so it narrowed down to there being 9 songs that we practiced regularly. One became lost in the briars and disappeared. So it would be my guesstimation that the 6 songs that appear on If Ever Beauty Fails were the initial songs that we've written, and I'm not 100% sure on that. Again, going back to '94 with as many songs that were written both before that and after that. Not everything is as clear as a bell in my mind, but But as it turned out, those were the first 6 on the first demo, being Submerged and A Castle in Darkness and The Aftermath and Spirit of the Stairway and Something for Nothing and Glass Girl, all very early songs. And yeah, so that again kind of encompasses the complete picture of the demo itself. And now what we can do is we'll go into each song and where I was from a lyrical or poetic standpoint at that point in my life, and what influenced me beyond the music and into putting themes or plots or lyrics or stories, however you want to look at it, to each of the songs that make up the If Ever Beauty Fails demo. And each one, again, like I'm sure for all bands, you know, every song has its own little story, and sometimes those memories or those moments or the thoughts that went behind that stuff can actually be the most interesting aspects of the entire demo, even beating some of the craziness that surrounded the recordings. So hey, we'll be back and we'll talk a little bit about the individual songs that are on the If Ever Beauty Fails demo. Be back.